Let's talk. Let's talk about it. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. All right. Relax. I was just trying to get your attention, you guys. I'm not that good at the guitar. I'm not gonna lie, but I am learning. But I just wanted to add a little flair in the beginning, you know. But how are you guys doing? It is J.LONDON. I'm piecing in. What is good? What is tea? What's up? Got your nigga in the cut. Goddamn, what it is? What's up? Got your nigga in the cut. Hey, y'all, welcome to Let's Talk About It, the podcast without the podcast. Hello. Buongiorno. Y'all, I decided this week to bring some Let's Talk About It into it. And I'll be real honest with y'all. Black and Educated Season 1, I don't know why it ran so smooth for me. Everything was just so smooth. Black and Educated Season 2, I don't know, me personally, I'm just overthinking it. I try to give myself like a few days of not posting, but that bothers me too, because I'm like, well, I'm not posting, I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking and of different ideas. No, that's not good. I'm just gonna go and let's talk about it until, you know, I find topics or can put in that quality that I want to put into it. I don't ever want to get on this green screen and just wing it. I really want to take my time with Black and Educated Season 2. So you did get the mass incarcerations, but, you know, I was just looking at that, and I don't want to lie to myself. I don't want to lie in general, so I'm just like, I don't think those were as good as I could have made them. Before you guys dive in, you already know, go grab a cup of coffee, go grab a shot of vodka, go grab whatever you want. I had a smoothie earlier because I did wake up early, and I had to send out some Breonna Taylor shirts. Again, BAEINCO. Check these out. And all the proceeds that I make for my Breonna Taylor shirts, I will be donating, just to let you guys know. Okay? Before we dive in, Recordelig. I might be saying that wrong, but this is a premium Swedish hard cider that I found. This Swedish cider is amazing. They have 4.5% alcohol, so make sure you are over the age of 21 to be doing this, to be drinking, you know. Ooh! The original question, or the original topic, was how the old generation can learn from the new generation. And I was so on board with that. And I was like, yes, because they got to learn, blase. But then I really sat back, and I think that's why it took me so long to make this video. But we have to learn from each generation, or we have to at least see why the generation, because there's so many people, baby boomers, millennials, generation before us, that would be like, oh, this generation is so entitled and blah, 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 blah. Entitled is believing oneself to be inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. And I've always been like, why? But why? You know? I was raised mostly by women, and these beautiful women, man, they got me through a lot. They helped me through a lot. Mostly my grandmother. She told me not to say her name, so I wonder if she thinks I'll be like talking to, I don't know, that's besides the point. But my beautiful grandmother, my sisters, and I did call my birth mom. You guys already know the story about that, but it's fine, because she has a lot of insight too, so you can learn from anyone. So I called these women who are each part of the generations. First generation, and this is the generation that my grandmother pertains to because she was born in 1943. That is considered the silent generation. This is the first generation that's starting out. After that would be baby boomers. And baby boomers are the year from 1946 to 1964. Okay. After that, it's gonna be Generation X, 1965 through 1980. And then millennials, Generation Z, and Generation Alpha. Okay. So let's start off with the silent generation, the baby boomers, because that's who I spoke to, and that is, you know, my grandma. So speaking to my grandma and just learning about her past and hearing all these stories, and she told me all these stories from growing up, but it wasn't until now that I realized what it was. And you know, some of the things that were said or were taught growing up probably weren't the best, but they did try their best. And I always wondered, like, instead of being like, oh no, I was raised this way or this way, no, I actually want to like get to the root of it and how was she raised, because you are a product of you're a product of your parent. You are what you see, and I always question certain things. So I want to know how it was for her growing up. So I gave her a phone call. She is the oldest out of 12 kids. 12, okay? Back in the day, I'm always like, yo, why was there so many kids? Like, why were people mass producing by the dozen? It is because after the silent generation, that first generation, they were at a recession, and then they started getting some wealth after the silent generation. So from getting wealth and having like almost a different lifestyle, they started effing and they started making babies. People were having babies out of everywhere. So they called it baby boomers. She explained to me, because all my family were super Puerto Rican and she's super Puerto Rican. So what I didn't know about Puerto Rico is that back in the day they used to, a lot of American white people would go to Puerto Rico and start businesses and start different companies, so on and so forth. So a lot of companies that are over in Puerto Rico aren't owned by a Puerto Rican. It's owned by a white man or white woman that went over and owned it. It's part of the U.S. border is because a lot of land, a lot of businesses were built there. In order for Americans to get from USA to Puerto Rico, they had to make it, you know, part of the U.S. border. That's why República Dominicana isn't part of it, because they didn't want to build anything over there. I'm just saying. I love Dominicans, just throwing it out there. How was it for you growing up? Because my grandma is strict, like she does not play. And she was like, I wouldn't change it for anything, because these white people would take care of me. And I would live with them for like many years. And I was like, wait. You didn't live with your parents when you were like, she said this all started at around 11, 12. So she was like, no, I didn't live with my parents. I lived with this white family. But I wouldn't change it for the world, because, you know, they treat me right. They bought me clothes. And then I was like, what up? But they're like, what were you doing for this white family that you were living for them? Mind you, this is like the 1950s. She was like, oh, I would take care of their kids. And we all know where this is going. And it gave me chills, you know, it made me a little emotional, because she's like, yeah, no, but they treat me right, and it was fun. And I'm like, oh, like, you know, some of the silent generation and the baby boomers, some are complacent or happy that they're still alive now, and they're happy that back in the day, you know, there were people who were just nice to the house workers and so on and so forth. And she didn't consider herself a slave, you know, and she would literally work in the field. She would tell me these stories. She would work in the field, but she was grateful because of how the white people treated her. So I always wonder, like, you know, my grandma has like this hierarchy of white people, and it's because she's old. That's why whenever you meet an older person who is talking crazy or reckless, their mindset sometimes is just what they were raised with. So they believe that, like, and it was ingrained in them that, like, white is right, black is whack. And so that's why I never try to, like, fight or try to really educate older people, because it's already ingrained in them. You can't change anything about that. Hearing her story, and I was like, oh, okay. Then I asked her, I was like, how was it with the new generation coming up? And she's like, listen, y'all gotta work. Do you think celebrity and society have more influences than parents? I realize that the new generation, Generation Z, or Generation I, whatever you want to call it, if your parents didn't live up to what you wanted them to be or what you see other parents doing, y'all are real quick to knock them down. And y'all are real quick to be like, no, I'm gonna do better than my parent or do better than this, because you are seeing and you're being influenced by celebrity and influencers. What we need us to do as well is listen, because we have to realize that history repeats itself, and it's repeating itself right now, okay? After the Great Depression, what happens? The economy booms. After the economy booms, what happened is the Great Depression. 7 years of famine. will bring you 7 years of feast. Another thing that I feel like is missing from this generation to the past is like work ethic, and that comes back into being entitled. So I feel like a lot of the stuff we wanted to be given, and we forgot the aspect of work, you know? A lot of people be like, well, I want this, and I want this, and I would've had this if mommy and daddy did this, and mommy didn't that. Well, guess what? You can have it. It's just, it's time to work. It's not given to you. And that's why I say we live in a different time that more stuff is accessible. But, you know, don't be mad at your parents just because they weren't lawyers, but they work at this, and that, or they're not doctors, or you don't have this, or you don't have that. You realize
Two hours later.
a leaf blower is getting me a little mad. Are you done? Are you done? So what I want you to realize is that, you know, you are a product of your past and your childhood and all of that stuff, and sometimes you really have to assess it to move on, to move forward. We really have to look back into how our parents were raised, how our loved ones, you know, were raised, people that we really care about. If they're a bit older, we should definitely go back. And even with our own childhood, you know, this generation, my generation, Generation Z, and then after that's going to be Generation Alpha, because this marks the year of a new generation starting. So 2021 would be the new generation, okay? I think we really have to look back at the events and the things that happened in the past to assess the future. Because throughout time, you know, we've been repeating and repeating the same shit. And you know, one thing that my birth mom said that really stuck with me, she was like, you know what, give it 3 years and we're gonna have slaves again. And I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Because people aren't understanding, people aren't getting it, people aren't, I don't know. I don't know. We were raised a bit very tight with money and just, you know, kind of like if you don't have money, you don't have nothing. And, you know, I asked my grandma, I was like, so how did you make money growing up? And then she was telling me, like, yeah, she worked at these houses, she would take care of these kids, and she would get $20 a month. Imagine getting that now, but that's how it was in the past. So that's why you gotta realize, you know, they lived in a different time that everything was completely different. No! Just to close out this video, and I think I'm gonna make a part 2 because I didn't feel like I was clear enough on here, and I think I'm gonna bring a special guest because I feel like this conversation really has to be done with another person. So, in conclusion, assess the last generation, assess what they went through, assess with the people that you love, talk to them. How was your past? How was this? How was that? And then you will understand things. This happened, we can learn why this is happening now, we can learn so many different things. So definitely ask the past generation because we can learn from each generation. It was a quick little topic that I had in my mind and I really wanted to talk about it with you guys. I feel if celebrities and influencers have more influence to the new generation than their own parents do, let me know about that. And yeah, so I just literally spilled all my beer and all I have is this, so this is to you guys. And it's raining, so it's perfect timing. Ah, okay. Get your Breonna Taylor shirts. Get your Breonna Taylor shirts. I have pink, green, white, yellow. Let's make a change, okay? Oh, love you guys. Bye.
Nairobi. What are you?
Elaborate.
What's your heritage?
I don't know.
So what are you?
Man, I'm
brown skin in America. What are you?
Lord. I'm black.
You black. What's your heritage?
African, as far as I know.
But Africa is like a whole continent.
I don't know where.
Okay.
We're black. That's the label you all gave us. And that's all we have. Africa has 54 countries, all with their own tribes, their own cultures and traditions. Do you propose that we just pick one and just go for it? I've tried to trace my family heritage, and at 1860, it stops flat. There's no records. So while you get to celebrate being Irish, German, or Italian, we get to celebrate a color.